The text never came. The job offer went to someone else. They chose her, not you. The pitch was declined. The friendship faded. The yes you needed was a no. And in that moment, you didn't just feel rejected. You felt erased. Because rejection doesn't just hurt, it destroys. It whispers, you're not enough. You never were. Everyone sees what you've been hiding. You're fundamentally flawed. You don't belong. And the worst part, you can't stop replaying it, analyzing every detail. What did I do wrong? What do they see that I don't? Why am I always the one left behind? But here is what no one tells you. Most rejection isn't about you at all. It's about misalignment, someone else's capacity, circumstances you can't see, preferences that have nothing to do with your worth. But you've been taught to make it personal, and that's destroying you. Today, I'm going to show you why rejection devastates you more than it should, why some people bounce back while you spiral, and how to stop letting other people's no define your entire existence. Because rejection is inevitable, but destruction is optional. Hi, and welcome back to Miss Rain. I'm so excited to be in your ears today. And if you've ever been destroyed by a rejection that others seem to move past easily, if you replay rejections for months or years, or being dismissed sends you into an identity crisis, this episode will change how you experience rejection forever. Rejection is one of the most painful human experiences. Not just uncomfortable, devastating. In a lot of situations, like the relationship that ended, the job you didn't get, the friend who pulled away, maybe the opportunity that went to someone else, or the social rejection, or maybe the professional dismissal. And you don't just feel hurt, you feel obliterated. You personalize it. They saw through me. I'm not good enough. Everyone else has something I don't. I'll never be chosen. Something is wrong with me. And here is what's confusing. Some people handle rejection differently. They get the no, they feel disappointed, and they move on. While you're still replaying it 6 months later, still trying to figure out what's wrong with you. So, why does rejection destroy some people and barely dent others? Why do you take everything so personally? Why can't you just let it go? I'll give you the answer. Because you were never taught that rejection of your offer is not rejection of your existence. When someone's saying no to one thing, doesn't mean someone's saying no to all of you. Not being chosen doesn't mean being unworthy, but you conflate them and it's killing you. In this episode, we're dismantling rejection. By the end, you'll understand rejection is data, not destruction. And other people's no doesn't define your worth. So, if you're ready, let's begin. First, let me validate something. Rejection doesn't just hurt emotionally, it hurts physically as well. And there is neuroscience to prove it. Neuroscientist Dr. Naomi Eisenberger's groundbreaking research explains social rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain, the anterior cingulate cortex and insula. When we're rejected, our brain processes it identically to being physically hurt. In her study, participants played a virtual ball tossing game. When excluded by other players, brain scans showed the same activity as when people experience physical pain. So when someone rejects you, your brain experiences it as injury. This isn't dramatic, this is biological. So why? Why did we evolve to experience social rejection as physical pain? Dr. Mark Leary in Evolutionary Psychology explains, for our ancestors, social rejection was a survival threat. Being cast out from the tribe meant death. No protection, no resources, no reproduction. Our nervous system evolved to treat rejection as a mortal danger. What this means? When you're rejected, your brain sounds a survival alarm. Threat, danger, you might die. That's why it feels so catastrophic. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between being rejected by your Stone Age tribe, the actual death, and being ghosted by a dating app match, not an actual death. To your brain, both are existential threats. But it's not just pain. Rejection triggers identity crisis. Dr. William Swan, in self-verification theory, we have a fundamental need to be seen and understood. When rejected, we question whether we know ourselves. If others don't see us the way we see us, which version is real? Rejection actually makes you question, do I know who I am? Am I who I thought I was? If they don't see my value, does it exist? This is why rejection isn't just that's disappointing. It becomes maybe I don't know myself. Maybe I'm not who I thought I was. Maybe I'm fundamentally flawed in ways I can't see. That's identity annihilation, and that's why it destroys you. Now let's talk about why you specifically take rejection so personally, because not everyone does. Yes. So what's the difference? I'll give you a few reasons. The first, your attachment wiring. You might already know your attachment style, or at least you might have heard of it somewhere else, but let me give you an easy explanation. How you respond to rejection was largely determined before age 7. Attachment Theory by Dr. John Bowlby and Dr. Mary Ainsworth. Children develop internal working models based on early caregiving. These models shape how we interpret connection and rejection throughout life. If you had secure attachment, which means caregivers were consistently available, your needs were met reliably. You learned, I'm worthy of love, people are generally safe, rejection is temporary. As a result, you handle rejection as disappointment, not devastation. Anxious attachment. Caregivers were inconsistent. Sometimes there, sometimes not. You learned I've had to work for love. My worthiness is conditional. Rejection confirms my worst fear. As a result, every rejection feels like confirmation you're unlovable. While avoidant attachment, caregivers were dismissive or absent. So you learned, don't need anyone. Independence is safety. Rejection proves I was right to not get close. As a result, you reject before being rejected, or you minimize pain by pretending not to care, while actually spiraling internally. And last but not least, disorganized attachment. Caregivers were frightening or chaotic, so you learned connection is dangerous. I won't love, but fear it. Rejection is expected, but still devastating. And as a result, rejection confirms both your fear and your need, creating paralyzing confusion. The point is, if rejection in childhood meant abandonment, neglect, or danger, your nervous system will treat adult rejection as life-threatening, even when it's not. Second reason, you never learned to handle no. Some people never learned to tolerate rejection because they never experienced it simply. Here is the pattern. If you grew up getting everything you asked for, being told you're special constantly, never facing real consequences, parents who fought every battle for you, teachers who passed you regardless, always being chosen, celebrated, prioritized, you never built rejection resilience. You never learned no doesn't mean I'm worthless. Not being chosen doesn't mean I'm unlovable. Disappointment is survivable. I can recover from not getting what I want. So when adult rejection comes, you have no framework. You fall apart because you've never fallen apart before and learned you can get back up. Third reason, your worth is externally sourced. And this is the deeper issue. I see this a lot, whether in my circle or with my clients. If your sense of worth comes from external validation, rejection destroys you because you believe I'm only valuable if others choose me. My worth is determined by how others see me. If they reject me, they must be seeing something true about my unworthiness. Contingent self-esteem by Dr. Jennifer Crocker explains, when self-worth depends on external outcomes, achievements, others' approval, appearance, rejection becomes catastrophic. Internal self-worth provides a buffer against external rejection. So, where does your worth come from? Does it come from external sources like being chosen, achieving goals, others' approval, accomplishments, relationship, or social status? Or does it come from internal sources, your values, your character, your integrity, your growth, your inherent humanity, and who you are when no one's watching? If your worth is primarily external, every rejection is a referendum on your value, and that's unbearable. Last but not least, you're confusing rejection with abandonment. Let's talk about abandonment wounds. If in your past, a parent left, someone you loved disappeared, you were neglected, relationships ended dramatically, or people you needed weren't there, you learned rejection means abandonment, means I'm alone, and I can't survive. So now, every rejection, no matter how small, triggers that original wound. The person who doesn't text back, your brain says, they're abandoning me. I'll be alone. And I lie. Logically, you know that's not true, but your nervous system doesn't. It's responding to the original trauma, not the current situation. Now, let me tell you what rejection actually is, because most of the time, it's not what you think. Basically, most rejection is about misalignment, not your worth. You need to understand that when someone says no to you, they're usually saying, this doesn't align with what I need, want, or can handle right now. They're not saying you are fundamentally flawed and unworthy. For example, job rejection. You think I'm not good enough, they saw I'm incompetent, but the reality is they needed someone with specific experience we already have in-house. Nothing to do with your capabilities. Another example, romantic rejection. You think I'm unlovable, no one will ever want me. The reality is they're emotionally unavailable. They want different life path. They're not ready for a relationship, or they're dealing with their own wounds, nothing to do with your lovability. One last example, friendship fading. You think I did something wrong, I'm too much, or I'm not enough. Well, the reality is their life changed, priorities shifted, They have less capacity. People grow in different directions, and it doesn't mean you're defective. If you want to know more about friendship recession, we've already posted an episode about it. You can go and listen to it right after this one. Back to our topic, the pattern. Rejection is usually about fit, not right match, or timing, not right moment, or capacity. They can't hold what you're offering. It might be about preference. They want something different, not something better. It might also be about circumstances, factors you can't see or control, not about your fundamental worth as a human. Rejection is specificity, not totality. And that's a crucial distinction. Someone rejecting one thing about you doesn't mean they're rejecting all of you, but you make it total. For example, they reject your business pitch. What you hear? You're a failure. You have no valuable ideas. You should give up. But it actually means this specific idea doesn't fit our current needs. Try again with something else. If they reject your communication style in one conversation, what you hear is you're fundamentally unlikable. No one wants to be around you. But the reality is the way you approach this specific topic didn't land with me. It doesn't mean I reject you as a person. The shift is simple. Rejection is specific. You make it total. Someone saying no to one idea, one approach, one offer, one moment, or one version of connection doesn't mean they're saying no to your entire existence. Sometimes people reject you because you make them uncomfortable. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you trigger something in them. I'll give you a few examples. Your confidence triggers their insecurity. Your boundary setting triggers their people-pleasing patterns. Your authenticity triggers their performance. Your growth triggers their stagnation. Your ambition triggers their fear. In these cases, rejection is their discomfort with themselves projected onto you. It's not about being too much or not enough. It's about you being something they're not ready to be. And that's not your problem to fix. All right, we've explained rejection, so the patterns, the shifts. Now, how do you actually stop taking rejection personally? As usual, I'll never let you leave empty-handed. Here is your framework. First practice, separate fact from story. When rejection happens, your brain creates a story. Practice, separate what actually happened from what you're making it mean. For example, they didn't respond to my text. The story you make, they hate me, I did something wrong, I'm annoying, they're done with me. The alternative facts, they're busy, they forgot, or they're dealing with something, probably their phone died, and they'll respond later. Here is a simple exercise for you. Write down the fact, only what objectively happened. Then the story you're telling, the meaning you're adding, what your brain tells you in that specific moment. And then the alternative stories, other possible explanations. This creates distance between event and interpretation and reminds you your story is just one possibility, not the truth. The second practice, ask what specifically was rejected. Stop globalizing rejection. Get specific. When rejected, ask what specifically was rejected, not I was rejected. That's too global. But this specific job application was declined. This particular romantic approach didn't land. This version of the pitch wasn't what they needed. Then ask, what does this tell me about fit, timing, or circumstances? Not about my worth. This reframes rejection as information, not indictment. Third practice, build internal worth anchors. You have to stop sourcing worth externally. Create a list. My worth is not contingent on external validation. My worth comes from, for example, my values, integrity, compassion, honesty. My growth, I'm learning, evolving, trying. My resilience, I keep going no matter what. My humanity, I'm inherently valuable as a human. Or my character, who I am when no one's watching. Keep this list. When rejected, read it and remind yourself external rejection doesn't touch these anchors. These are yours, regardless of who chooses you. Fourth practice, practice micro rejections. If you've never learned to handle no, you need to practice. Intentionally seek small rejections. Ask for something you might not get. Pitch an idea that could be declined. Reach out to someone who might not respond. Apply to something you're not sure you'll get. Start small, build tolerance, and learn. I can be rejected and survive. No doesn't destroy me. I can recover. Rejection resilience is a muscle. You build it through exposure. Fifth practice, process the grief without the story. Yes, rejection hurts, and that's okay. Feel the feeling without the story. Allow disappointment, sadness, hurt, and frustration without adding, it means I'm worthless. Everyone sees I'm defective and I'll never be chosen. Just feel the pain. Don't make it existential. You can be sad about a specific rejection without making it mean you're fundamentally flawed. Sixth practice. Reframe rejection as redirection. This is a life-changing technique. And I'm talking from personal experience. It might sound like toxic positivity, but hear me out. Sometimes rejection is protection. Not every yes would serve you. Not everyone who could choose you should. Not every opportunity that looks good is good. So, when rejected, ask, what might this be protecting me from? What might I not see about why this wasn't aligned? Not as spiritual bypassing, but as curiosity about possibilities. Sometimes the job you didn't get would have destroyed your mental health. The relationship that ended was keeping you from your actual match. The opportunity that passed made room for something better aligned. You can't always see this immediately, but rejection often becomes redirection in hindsight. Last but not least, develop rejection rituals. Create a process for handling rejection. For example, when rejection happens, feel it. 24 hours to spiral, cry, rage, and contained. Then separate fact from story. Write it out, as I've showed you before. Ask what specifically was rejected and get specific, not globalized. Read your worth anchors. Recenter on internal value. Process grief without story. Feel without making it existential. And ask, what's being protected or redirected? Reframe it. Then move forward with new information. It's data, so use it. Having a ritual gives you something to do besides spiral. Now, let me be clear about something. Not all rejection is neutral. Some rejection is genuinely harmful. You might be asking when to take rejection seriously. I'll give you the answer. Rejection is harmful when it's discriminatory, based on race, gender, sexuality, disability, religion, systemic oppression, not individual misalignment. Rejection is also harmful when it's abusive, weaponized to control or manipulate you, when it's designed to destroy your self-worth, when it's part of ongoing psychological abuse, when it's pattern of exclusion. You're consistently rejected in ways that indicate systemic bias. Organizations, communities systematically exclude people like you. In these cases, the rejection is about something unjust, and it's okay to name that. The framework still helps. Even when rejection is unjust, you don't have to internalize it as your fault or your flaw. It's about broken systems, not your worth. So, here is what I need you to hear. Rejection is inevitable. You will be rejected multiple times in multiple areas for the rest of your life. I'm sorry, that's not pessimism, that's reality. But here is what's also true. Rejection is not destruction unless you make it that. You can experience rejection without spiraling for months, questioning your entire existence, making it mean you're fundamentally flawed or destroying your sense of worth. You can simply say, that hurt, that was disappointing, that wasn't the outcome I wanted, and then I'm still worthy, I'm still whole, and I'll be okay. The truth other people's know is information about fit, timing, capacity, or circumstances, not a verdict on your worth. The next time you're rejected, try this. Feel it, process it, separate what happened from what you're making it mean. And remember, you are not what was rejected. You are the person experiencing rejection and choosing how to respond. Share this episode with someone who takes rejection personally, someone who spirals after every no, someone who needs to hear rejection is data, not destruction. And remember, you can't control what chooses you, but you can control whether their choice defines you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Until next time, stay graceful, stay powerful, and always wear your crown.